Hey everybody, Weem here. Welcome back to Weem's Workshop, I guess. Something like that. If we could do a sign, maybe that's what I would call it. I think that's what I mentioned last time. I was like, I don't know what I would call this, Weem's Workshop. So anyway, I guess I could do it in blocks across the top. That'd be a really long title though. I don't think I want to do that. So obviously some things have changed since we were here last. I've been working on some things. I think what I'm going to do during this run is kind of work on some of the basic structural stuff off camera, some of the walls and kind of the standard stuff. And then maybe do some experimenting and show you some of the experimenting, and then kind of work on something, you know, while you guys are here. So anyway, I've got a couple things to show you. Let me start over here because I talked about having some kind of window in place and some kind of automation here. So this was an experiment that I'm really not that into. It's kind of ugly. I think I'm going to tear it down. But basically, we have these alternating kind of columns here, and they obviously create a wall, right? We've got gaps in between each one, and the idea here is I would rotate out the back side. You know, they basically spin around and be on the other side of the front column so you could see through this gap. Let me go ahead and hit this here. You'll see how that is currently working. So it does function, but it's just really busy. There's a lot going on there, and I'm not that into it. It's not very clean. The other side looks similar as far as a block that's up here. That's because that's where some rotating pieces are, and I'm kind of hiding them inside of there. So basically I have these arms that stick out and hold a rod. Basically, it's actually multiple rods because you can't make one long piece. So there's a piece right here along the bottom. It comes over and stops here. You've got the next hinge and a long piece here, and these are all standing on those. And basically with this piece here, I rotate it out from this gap. It kind of spins out, faces forward. That moves the entire length out and over basically one block, which lines these guys up, creates the gaps, and that's how we get this. But again, it's a bit messy. It's a little too much, so I think we'll go ahead and tear that down. Now the other thing I was working on was over here. I've actually got a door because of the switch deal here, and because when you're outside, for example, like now I hopped outside, I don't really have a way in through this door. I made a little side door here. I'm gonna go ahead and click and open this, and I'll show you how this was meant to originally work here. I'm kind of doing the reverse order, right? Let's see, that'll close, this will close. So the idea here was that, go on, close, there it goes. I also took out a block here because this was being problematic, and I'll explain that here in a second. Let me just put these actually back in. Something like that, something like this. Kind of doing a thick door. So essentially, you can see that this is where the hinge is on the bottom of this block, and if I click this guy, it basically opened this so I could reach the switch, which is, you know, reachable on both sides. So I can click it from here, and when I'm outside I can actually reach in, see that and click it. You'll see the back side closes to cover up the gap, and then the main door will close. But the problem here is it actually sticks. You'll see it hangs up on this block right there. So anyway, that's why I ended up taking out the outer two, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do something else. So we're going to tear that out as well. We're not going to keep that. One other thing I did was I did put these windows in here, these metal windows, and just a very quick thing I did here, so I'll just click this once. You can see they rotate and they slow down for the last bit, so you could see out the front. I think for now we'll probably keep this here. It's not too big a deal, but at some point I'll probably replace those. And then of course I've got the arm with the switch, but let me show you another issue here as well. I'm going to go ahead and click this. So doors open and everything, but this guy does not go back the reverse way. What I found is that when I leave the game and I come back, this doesn't want to go back at all for some reason. So what I end up having to do is tear out the hinge over here, place a new one, and reconnect it to the controller in order to get this all working again. So this whole thing is just not really working out that well. Now, that said, Jake Dog Alex actually left a comment and said that he knew a way to connect two switches to one computer because somebody else had done that on YouTube, and he linked me to a video by, I'm going to pronounce this as Zasuma, or Zaisuma, I guess, who had a way to do it, and it was pretty cool. I liked what they did. I do have to make room for kind of a block somewhere to set this up, but I think I'm going to go ahead and start putting that together and then get that working. It's pretty cool way to do it. Okay, so I've cleaned up some things here. I got rid of the arm and the flap here, all the hinges, everything, those are gone, the bearings rather. I removed the door as well as the bearings and switches here. I had a couple controllers I wasn't using, so I've removed those. So we're kind of to square one. Now, I did put a switch out here. It's not currently connected to anything. It's not connected to this guy. We'll do that in a minute, but what I wanted to explain quickly was that I was experimenting with the setup that was in the video that I'll have linked below, and it really wasn't working for me. In that setup, it was kind of triggered by a sensor, and my doors are pretty wide, so if you have sensors out at the end, you don't quite hit them, you have to be off to the sides. Additionally, the event is triggered when you're in front of it, and as soon as you move off, it's triggered again. So in this case, these doors would close immediately. And in the case of the door that they had, that was okay because it was a door that flipped up and then flipped right back down behind you. And in fact, there was a sensor on the other side, and they were connected, so even as you passed through the next sensor and into the room, it was still activated, so the door would remain up. But it really wasn't going to work in this setup. I did a bunch of experimenting, but I did use that concept, that kind of thought process, and figured out a different way, and I think this works pretty well. I've been experimenting with a little bit, so let me kind of show you what I did. Basically, what I have here is 2 controllers, 2 bearings, and a sensor and some switches. So what I have is a column right here with 2 bearings on them. So one will spin this single wood block, and then the other will spin these 3 up here. And then each one of these is connected to its own controller. And what they do is when activated, they rotate 90 degrees. That's it. It will just spin it 90 degrees. So either switch that's hit up there, it doesn't matter which, will rotate this guy 90 degrees. And in all cases, a block will be here or it won't. It will always alternate the way that rotates. So it doesn't matter if I hit switch 1 a bunch of times, if I hit it 5, 6 times, it's always going to be off, on because it's 90 degrees. And the other control doesn't interfere with that because it's always going to be 90 degrees. So when I hit this one, it goes 90 degrees. The light is off. It's now not activated because nothing's in front of it. So the door opens, it goes through its 7-8 seconds, and then it does its close rotation there. So again, I can hit this guy again. It just rotates 90 degrees, now activating the light and leaving it activated. Again, if this spun around and deactivated in the same motion, the door would start to open, then it would do it again because it's triggering twice. But here it's changed its state and it keeps it there. So I think this will work pretty good. I can put this down. I might be able to compact it a little bit more. What I'm thinking is I'll actually put something like this because you can reach pretty far with things. I'm thinking that I might use the area under here and maybe even on the other side for various triggers and everything that we might do with the front of the building, including the door up there, for example. I can move a lot of this stuff, underneath here, maybe even do like a caged wall, and this would be where, the mechanics of this stuff would go. I think that would be pretty cool. But anyway, I'm pretty happy with this. It doesn't occupy a lot of space. I can put blocks around it and everything, so kind of hide it a bit. Yeah, I think this will work pretty good. So essentially the next step then would be to take this switch and put it outside, take the other one and put it in here somewhere, and like I said, move that stuff over. So I think I'll go ahead and get that all set up. Okay, I've got that cleaned up and I decided, what, I'm just gonna bring you guys along for this setup here for those interested. So let's see, I went 3 up with the sensor, so this will be a good spot, and I know that I went 5 out. Let's go ahead and grab this block here. 3, 4, 5 in one. So that was kind of the base I just set down, and then we need a bearing, and I did wood, just to kind of visually know, hey, these are rotating parts. So there we go. Here's our T section. I'm putting blocks down where I don't want them. There we go, so that's currently on, that's fine. Then we need to put the 2 controllers down. I'll rotate these around. I like having the display up. I don't know, I think that's cool. Now, why do I leave room? I am leaving a gap here. It seems like it could come forward, but with the block rotating around, I found that if they bump against something else, it could be problematic, so I'm leaving kind of this one gap space. Actually, I'm realizing that I can have that closer. Okay, I went one too far back there. Just delete all this stuff real quick. I always end up deleting floor and everything. I get spamming on this thing. That's okay. So we'll go, not there. Here, with a bearing, the wood, the bearing, the wood. Because this will rotate, but only occupying this space, so that does leave the gap there. I didn't have to go that far out. Cool, so that should do that. And then let's go ahead and connect these guys up. So basically, I kind of go to the closest one. So this controller will go to this gear or bearing, and the far one will go to the top one. Blue in both cases. That's good. So we're going to go in here, and start state is at 0. We want to rotate 90 degrees in the blue, and we will do the same in the other one. Again, so it doesn't matter what switch you hit. Each one will just do it 90 degrees, which is always going to be an on or an off state. Very cool. Okay, and then what we need to do is connect this guy to the controller. The only thing left now is we need to get the switches connected to these guys. So I should be able to do this from here. I don't think I'm too far away. No. And it doesn't really matter which one. So there's that switch. There's that switch. And then we just need one more. And I think for now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it over on the wall with the window control. We'll just kind of put this out here. Let me think about that. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just do it here. Take this guy. I think I'll be able to... I think this can reach as far as you run, right? Let me just sprint out this way. Yeah, I think it's totally fine. And we're using the front one there, so we'll use the back one there. And we should be good. Let's go ahead and give this a whirl. Is that all I needed? I think so. Okay. So that rotated the block around, which opened up the sensor there. And then this will go through its normal animation. That's cool. We'll just go ahead and hit this again. Now, one interesting thing here is that the lights will always alternate back and forth. If I sit here and switch it on and off, it'd be nice if you could choose that, you know, some kind of state, and say that's what green is. So anyway, there we go. That's the inside one. Let's go ahead and double check this guy. Okay, we had you could hear it rotate around inside of there. So I think we have this set. Again, I would really like to use sensors, but we are basically wanting an on or an off. Like, we click it and it's on and it stays on. And the sensors, as soon as you move out of range, they go into their next state, which would trigger the opening or closing of the door again. So anyway, there we go. That's pretty good. Now, I think there's a delay between some of the states, as for example, in this state, as the wood rotates forward, I think that it doesn't change it until it gets enough around the corner. So I think that's what's causing a slight delay every other time. Let's go ahead and try that here. Yeah, you can see the delay, just a second. So it's not a big deal, but there we go. I'm actually pretty happy with that. It occupies very little space. It's pretty simple, and I think that works pretty well. Now, you can imagine that you could actually get a number of switches going. I could have a switch up here, for example, so I could open the door for somebody else. I could have a switch in the back, and the way you would do that, the way you'd handle that, is you would just go taller with this, have more bearings, and each one, again, as long as they're all 90 degrees, then you know that it doesn't matter what gets clicked, this will rotate around 90 degrees on and off each time. There we go. Yeah, I think I think we are pretty set there. Well, it's been a while. I think maybe an hour, maybe less. I've been playing around with this a bit, trying to get everything just right. I think I have it all set up. I've got this over here and everything, but I have a new door now. I was playing around with that, so let me step out here and show you how everything is looking now that we've got the whole new setup. We have the multiple switches and a new door. You ready for this? Let's check it out. There we go. A double folding door there. So you can see I've got this arm back there, and I think there's probably a little better way to do that, maybe more snug. But I think that works pretty well. And again, we got the double switch, so we can do this on the inside. You can see that open and fold right over. So that's pretty good. Now, I could set it that they don't actually return, so it just stays open. I'm kind of considering that. It'd be nice to open it and, you know, just leave it open for a while and then close it later. I will probably do something like that, but I think for now we're pretty set. I'm actually very happy with this. I think it's much better than what we had before. It looks really cool, and we have a lot of moving parts and seamless textures, right? I know I've been talking to a number of you about how cool that is in this game, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please leave a like on the video if you did and you'd like to see more, and let me know in the comments what you think about all of this. If there's something you'd like to see me try, I might just do it, so let me know down below. I would appreciate that, and thanks as always for watching. I will catch you guys next time.